Oh, and my classes are starting from tomorrow, so
Yeah, so what?
it's bad.
Oh, I thought you were about to say that I'm not doing podcasts anymore. I was about to punch you right through the screen. Hello, guys, and welcome back to Itchy.
Brains.
Yep, that's right. A podcast where Pragyan is about to tell a joke. Bro, you sent like loads and loads and loads of memes on Viber. You don't remember any of those?
Mm-mm.
God damn it.
Okay. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
All right, nice, cool introduction. Very cold, very cold. Just like Pragyan's heart. Everything is cold on the podcast, and that's a perfect intro. So today I wanted to talk about something that could possibly help some of my colleagues, some of the listeners consume more content, and I think it's a very different. It is right under the eye, but I don't think anyone uses it as much as they should do. Pragyan already disapproves it. Pragyan, what am I talking about?
The 2x speed or speeding up your audio in YouTube or
Exactly.
podcasts.
Music to my ears. So, what is this 2x speed thing? First, like I said, it's gonna help the listeners consume more content and possibly change.
In lesser time.
Yeah. Lesser time, basically. There's obviously an adjustment factor, but the second thing is they can save more time, which again ties in with the first point itself. So again, I asked you to consume. Okay, what is this 2x speed basically? Can you elaborate on that?
It's basically increasing the speed of the stuff you listen to, like podcast or YouTube videos. So there's an option of speeding up your audio in YouTube or in podcast. So you could speed it up by 1.5 times the normal speed or 1.75 times or even 2
Exactly,
times.
and that's brilliant. Okay, I know that you disapprove of this. And I was wondering if was I the first person
Yep.
to introduce you to 2x speed?
No, I mean,
No?
no, you were the first one to say that it's productive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, 100%.
So, but
Okay.
I knew about it beforehand, but didn't use it, except for some videos where the comment section told me that if you play this in 1.75
Oh
speed,
yeah,
it sounds
I've seen
like
those
Justin
comments. I've
Bieber
seen
or
those.
Michael
I've seen those
Jackson.
comments, dude. And some of the comments are also like, "Oh, you're watching this TEDx video? Here, start from 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes is crap. Just start it from here, and then you'll be better off."
The video starts from
Yeah.
this timestamp.
Some of the YouTubers do that as well. I'm grateful for them. But now let's get into this 2x thing. What is this 2x? I'm sure most of the listeners have already heard of, like, seen the 2x button, like faster speed button on YouTube, but I don't think people use it as much as they should. Let me get into it. First, this might sound a little bit strange. I get it, but hear me out. So this 2x thing, right? I first came across it about 2 months ago from a podcast. I was listening to a podcast, and then they were like, I consume most of the stuff in 2x speed, like 1.5x speed, but by 2x. So I can merge the term faster speed and 2x speed. Basically, they mean pretty much the same thing. So I was listening to the podcast, and they said it, and I didn't like it. Didn't like that didn't settle on me. I was like, wow, that's a great idea, but I never went on and did it, right? And then again, I think a couple of weeks ago, I found this YouTube video on, hey, I consume stuff on 2x, and you should do the same thing. And I was like, holy shit, that's a pretty good idea. And I've never implemented that, right? I've tried I've tried playing podcasts on 1.25x speed. Like that was my general go-to. And then even then I will feel guilty, you know? Like there's a bit of a guilt factor. I'm like, there's a guilt factor, and then there's a satisfactory factor. There's a win factor, which is that I'm playing this podcast at 1.25x speed. That hence I'm saving more time in the end, right? So because most of the podcasts are so long, like even if you look at Joe Rogan's podcast, like he's pumping podcasts like crazy, like us, and then there are so many great content out there that it is just not possible to listen to these stuff at normal speed. And slowly but surely, right now, the point where I'm at, I only feel there's more of the satisfaction factor that I save time and I consume the content fast than a guilt factor, which was there at the beginning. So if you guys are trying out 2x speed, well, first of all, so there are steps to this. Okay, like I wouldn't want the listeners to directly jump from 1x to 2x speed. That would just defeat the whole purpose. Slow but steady. We can also go into this concept of James Clear, who says that make 1% increment every day, and then you'll be better off building better habits, right? 1% improvement every day. So instead of jumping directly from 1x to 2x, it's better off to start slow, give it a try, and then if you don't like it, fine. Like having something at 2x speed is not permanent. You can give it a shot. Don't like it, like put it down to 1.75, 1.5, and then if you think that's reasonable, then hey, great. I saved you some time. So if you happen to be listening to this podcast, I encourage you to, if there is a faster button, go ahead and try it out. Just put it a little bit faster, and then you'll start to hear the rest of the podcast in like, I don't think you'll hear a substantial difference at first from 1 to 1.25. You'll obviously hear me talking a bit faster, but I think your ears can catch up to that, even if you like right at the moment. Right now, switch it up, and then I think your ears can catch up to that. Done? Okay. Yeah. Now, cool. So I came across this 2x speed. Changed the way I consume content at this point. Again, what are the main forms of content you consume?
YouTube videos.
Okay, so is that number one, videos? Okay. And then what else?
And online articles.
Articles second? Okay, so written form second. And then third?
And podcasts.
Pornhub. So your top down list is videos, and then you said articles, written stuff, and then audio, right?
Yep.
For me, I would like to think that it's videos, and then I think it's audios, and then I think it's written content, articles and stuff. Although this can get a bit, imbalanced between second and third. Sometimes I'm reading more, except instead of listening, and then sometimes I'm listening more instead of reading. Now again, just as a disclaimer, this thing doesn't apply to movies or say songs. This has its barriers, right? So like I was saying, change the way I saw content and how I consumed it. Same thing with fast reading as well. Have you heard of fast reading? Like reading faster? Have you tried it?
Yep.
How many words per minute do you think you read at?
100 words, maybe.
100 words a minute? I think mine is about like 250 to 300.
Whoa.
Like, I like to skim through. Okay, so earlier when we started the podcast, I know listeners can't see Pragyan's face. I mean, I think that's
Plus
a boon.
point.
Boon? Is that the word? Boon?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I nailed the word. I haven't used that word since 7th grade. But so when I told you about 2x reading, and you've been preaching to me about this 2x thing, you were like, what are we going to talk about on 2x speed, like that doesn't make sense. And even at this. Even at the beginning of the podcast, you had this squirmy face, right?
Uh-huh.
So why is that? So I'm only getting this idea that you don't like it, or you just completely hate it. Like, it's absurd. So I guess we can have certain like disagreements on this topic. So anything you have to present, you can go forward. You can start with when I asked you to. When I asked you to, like, increase the speed and then test it out. You can start from there.
Okay, I didn't do that at first. It took me 2 days to apply the 1.5 speed in.
Oh, so did you go from normal to 1.5x speed, like straight up?
Yep.
Or did you go from normal 1.25 and then 1.5?
I went to 1.25 and I thought, this is similar to the normal speed, so I pumped it up to 1.5 and then 1.75.
Yeah, I mean that's a trap we can fall into, right? Like, again, you want to increase slowly. I still haven't gone up to 2x speed.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking that I can maybe take up to 2.3 speed.
There's 2.3 speed there's no 2.3 in YouTube, I guess.
No, but they're so on podcasts and stuff, for the podcast app that I use, which is Google Podcast. I think the max limit on Spotify is 2x speed on podcast. You're not allowed any on songs, by the way.
Okay.
But for podcasts it's 2x speed, and on Google Play it's up to 3x speed.
Okay.
And if people were not approaching speeds like that, I don't think like Google Podcasts would have put that in there, just for
Yeah.
It's something that people use. I don't. It's not discussed enough, I feel like. So again, going back to the idea. So you went from 1x to 1.5 and then 1.75.
Yep.
I would say that's a wrong approach to take, because it does take certain time for your brain to get adjusted to whatever you're putting it to.
Now, I mean, I caught up with stuff, like I understood everything, but I preferred the normal speed.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So what were the problems?
The voice, how this sounded.
Totally. Like I said, since you went from 1 to 1.75 in the same day, I wouldn't suggest that, because it's such a huge increment, right? I get the factor. I get the driving factor that you're like, 1.25 is, not as fast. I'm not saving enough time, maybe. And then you're like, 1.5. And then you're like, I can catch up to 1.5 as well. So let me go to 1.75. Yeah. So, it's like, when people first start running, they're like, let me run 10 miles in the first day. Like, you'll see those people running, maybe they'll run the first day. Maybe they'll also go the second day. But then on the third day, they're so fucking tired up, they just want to sit down. They set the high expectation so high that they can't keep up to it. Same thing goes here as well. You wanna set your goal as if that you can like, say, for instance, in running, I think I can best put it in terms of running. You should put up a goal that you can't say no to. So say running 500 meters. Is that a big deal on the first try? No, right? Like, if you think no, then there you go. Just do 500 meters, and then you'll feel like maybe it's going to take like 5 minutes of running, maybe. Or if you run faster, maybe faster than that. But then, yeah, just be done with it and then get back on the second day and then run 500 meters again. And then give your body that time to get adjusted to it. Like, don't go from, like, even if you run 500 meters today, don't go from 500 to 5 kilometers the next day. It's just not, that's not practical. You can read any research paper out there, or you can read any book on habits, on how to build habits. And the first thing they will say is, don't take that approach. Or listen to any podcast like this one. And again, this is not something new, but I do get that there's a factor that you just want to jump right ahead. And then, because you feel left out in some sense as well, right? Like, if you if you listen to a friend who is a runner, like he will tell you that he always runs like 5 miles, and then you are like, okay, so since this guy is running 5 miles, I can obviously start at 3 miles, right?
Yep.
Not so much. Not so much. Yeah, that's not the correct approach. Same thing with this consuming content. The method that you use were absolutely incorrect.
Okay.
And then like I would have been a bit happier if you were like, you know, like, oh, hey, project, like
1.25 for 2 days, 1.5 for 2 days, and then 1.75 or
yeah, I mean I'm still open to the idea that listeners can hate it. That's completely fine. It's something that has worked very well for me. And like I said, completely changed the way I saw content. Completely. Like when I first started reading, when I first started getting into reading, I would take hours to take, like, just to read like 10 to 15 pages of book. Well, that's an exaggeration, but like our teachers used to set like, okay, 5 days from now read like 12 chapters, right? And then come back and then we'll discuss about these 12 chapters. And then like that was so huge for me, right? Like because I was not accustomed to fast reading and I didn't know what it was. I was just like, okay, word per word, word per word, word per word, word per word. Yeah, sure, that worked. But then the amount of time I was taking was not like I was giving up all these time just to read. And that doesn't mean that when I discovered fast reading, I was losing content or losing words. It just, I had to be adaptive to just moving my eyeballs a bit faster, or whether it was grabbing a pen or pencil, you know, just to skim through
filler words and just highlight the important words with your brain.
Sure, yeah, there are a couple of approaches to it. I'm still not the greatest reader. I'm still not the greatest fiction reader. I still find hard to read fiction, you know, like catch up to characters and stuff. But anyways, enough about books and stuff. I feel like I missed less of the audio and to like on the audio and content form to just like books and stuff. That could be a different episode, though, fast reading and stuff, and how we can do fast reading. Again, with audio consumption or video consumption, just go from 1 to 1.25 speed, right? And then I started that way as well. And right now, my YouTube setting is such that as soon as I click on a video, instead of it being at normal speed, I've automatically set it up to 1.5x speed. So as soon as I click on a video, like it just lightning fast. I mean, I don't notice it, right? But for someone like my brother, who was like, you know, sometimes we'll be sitting together and then I click on a video and then he will just go, "What is that? Like, why are they talking so fast? Just slow it down." And then I'll go, "What? They're talking at normal speed." Everyone is a rapper in my video on my YouTube. Yeah. That's another way to look at it. But I don't see it as that. I'm very accustomed to 1.5x speed, or I would crank it up to 2x speed on YouTube videos for that matter. And in terms of videos, it's hard. It's easy. I would say it's easier to catch up to it, right?
Right.
Because you're seeing the person talk, so you can kind of make sense of what their lips are syncing up to. Yep. And then I think that helps. But in terms of podcasts, I'm still at 1.7, 1.8. Sometimes I take it down when the content is too heavy, like philosophical stuff. You know, like I just want to like crank it down to 1.4x speed just so I can, you know, like take this stuff slowly.
Observe more.
Yeah, because like I find it more important, say some philosophical matter, I'll be like, okay, this is something interesting and I really want to observe it, right? But whereas podcasts like Wisecrack, which I was listening to earlier before joining on this podcast, I was listening to Wisecrack podcast, which is a movie podcast, and they just break down movie and stuff. And I was listening to a movie breakdown on 2001 Space Odyssey, which I was like, oh, that's a good movie, and I didn't understand the movie. I would sure like to understand what the movie is about, but I don't want to listen to them at normal speed at this point. I was able to consume the whole thing at 2x speed. I think I'm like halfway through. I'm usually going out for walks during the evening, and I'll have like like 1.5 hours set, just so I can roam around, refresh my brains and stuff. For that time, I'm just like out in the world. I'm not in the room. I'm not like looking at YouTube, although I'm consuming audio, right? And normally at that time, I would have only consumed one podcast episode in the total duration of 1.5 hours, right? But since I've been introduced to 2x speed, I feel like I can like easily. It's like your mom feeding you food. I don't know. I just feel like it just goes way faster. Like, especially, I think it's very true for kids, right? Like kids, like if you let them eat, they take hours to eat. But then whenever they have their moms by their side feeding them, like they get done so much faster. Same thing with audio too. Like now, whenever I go out, I'm like. The podcast I was talking about, 2001 Space Odyssey, cranked down. Like, gone. Like, I got everything I wanted from the podcast, even though it was not from a normal speed. And if you ask me, like, I can tell you what the podcast was about. And okay, so here comes the difference between, I just wanted to put this out there. The difference between speed reading and cranking up the speed in, say, YouTube and audio form. The main difference in these two categories is the fact that you are not doing the work. So, for instance, right? If you are fast reading, it is very difficult to be like, okay, I'm going to fast read, and then you have to move your eyes ball quick, and then you have to catch on with whatever is going on, right?
Yep.
But in terms of speed listening for, say, YouTube or audio, the machine is doing all the work. You are not doing work. The machine is doing the work. And the thing that is doing the work is probably your unconscious brain, your subconscious that is, slowly getting accustomed to whatever is happening, right? So the machine is doing, like, you're putting all the loads onto the machine. You're not even doing that much of a work. So on that side, like, there is nothing to worry about. Sure, as you increase the speed, like the catching time, the catching period, there is some work to be done, because you are like, what the hell? Why am I listening to Eminem all of a sudden, But then, so the machine is doing all the work. Now let's go into the critiques. Let's go into the downside of this. So and there are downside to this. I hope all the listeners are listening to this at like faster speed. Like that's the whole point of it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it. So the first downside is the fact that you miss out on details.
Yep.
Now, Pragyan, I think you can elaborate on this way better than I, because you just don't like the idea. So I feel like you can get on the critique and I can talk about the advantages.
But this applies just for the beginning when you start off. Like,
oh wow, so you're on board with me now?
I mean, after a few weeks of doing this stuff, like your brain is accustomed to listening at sped up contents, and it can grasp things.
Yeah. It just becomes the new normal. Like 1.5x is the new normal.
Yep.
And like it so much happens to me, right? Like whenever I'm consuming stuff at 1.5x and then I just lower it down to normal, I feel like slow-mo guys. I've just
exactly.
slowed down the whole content. Like moving from 1.5x to normal feels like moving from normal to, say, 0.75x. Like it just gets so weird. And okay, go on. And then you were saying.
So during the initial stages, you can't really catch up to what they're saying, and you need to rewind time and again to observe everything that you need to, because your brain is definitely not accustomed to sped up content. So you can't really observe everything, and you miss out on important details that you were there for, like that you wanted to observe. So that's really a downside of speeding up the contents.
So I want to disagree a bit here, because to me,
Uh-huh.
I don't feel like I'm missing out too much. I don't feel like I'm missing out on important stuff. Instead, I grasp the important stuff and then miss out on the junk. Because yeah, sure, like there are going to be junks on a podcast, right? Not every podcast that you listen to is going to be great. Not every content that you consume on YouTube is going to be great. Like some of them are junks, and some like you might be conscious that they are junks, but then you're just viewing them for entertainment purposes. I don't know what I did there. I don't know what that word was. But yeah, like yeah. So to disagree with you, I feel like I catch on the important stuff, and then miss out on the junk. Yeah, for beginners, for sure. Like you might feel like you're missing a whole lot. Like there's some details missing here and there. But I feel like it's just the fact that you have cranked up from normal to a faster speed. Like obviously, like there are certain factors that gets missed out at first, right? And also sometimes I don't mind missing out like the small details too much. Now, let me give the example of fishing because I love fishing, right? So say there's a pond and there's land around it. There are no trees. It's clear pond. You know, you can walk on you can walk on the shore from any side of the pond, right? Would you rather spend your time on just one spot for 2 hours, or would you think that it's better to take that bait, you know, like fish in one spot for say 15 minutes or 20 minutes and then move? 15 minutes, 20 minutes,
The
move.
latter.
Yes, sure. Like, sure, you could have caught some fish sitting in the same spot and fishing on the same spot for 2 hours, but you will not be able to catch as many fish unless it's a really good spot. Like, the pond is very new to you. You don't know where the best spots are. You don't know where the best spots are. It's away from your home ground, for that matter. So yeah, because I feel like I'm a little bit experienced fisherman, like, and a lot of fishermen will tell you it's better to move spots. Like if you're not catching anything on one spot, or say if you have sat there and fished for 30 minutes and then you have only caught one fish, better to move the spot. Like don't worry about it. Don't feel guilty or anything. It's way better to move spot than just to stay at one spot. Same with podcasts or same with YouTube as well. Here's the content. You take the idea. You take the idea as fast as you can grab it. As fast as you can grab it. When for beginners, I feel like 1.2x, 25x speed is like the quickest they can do as a beginner. I think we have touched upon this on previous podcasts as well, right? Like Shane talks about this on his book, on Great Mental Models, where he says that learning comes when there is reflection on ideas, right? If there is an idea that you come across, but then you don't reflect on it, there is no learning done. It's just that there is an idea that was there and then it just passed.
You just skimmed through it. Yeah.
Yeah, just went by. There's no reflection, no learning, right? I think it's way better to hop on to one content and then listen to it as quick as possible. Get the idea. Grasp the main idea. That's the point, okay? Don't miss out on the idea. If you are missing out on the idea, then you're missing out
What's
on
the
point.
point?
Like the point. Yeah, exactly. Unless it's a meme or something. Like, like you know, there are memes compilation and those kind of stuff. Or unless it's a TikTok, for that matter. Yeah, for that kind of stuff. Like, there's not much reflection to be done. But yeah, like, skim through it, like go through it as fast as possible. I encourage all the listeners once again, like 2x speed. I think it's godly. I think like you know the phrase, "Oh, you opened my eyes." You know that phrase, right? Like it's overused in movies and stuff. Yeah. Same thing. I feel like this faster consumption of content just opened my eyes. Now let's go on to the second critique that I feel like is there, and it's more of a philosophical critique, and I think I get this idea from the video that I watched on 2x speed. So the critique is, like I said, more philosophical, which is the fact that, oh, why are you going so fast in content consumption? Why can't you just slow it down, take it easy? Life is, you know, to be taken easy. Just slow it down. That argument doesn't hold up. Like, it's such a silly argument. Yeah, sure. Like, there are certain things that you want to slow down sometimes, like sex, maybe. and like enjoy it a bit more. Like there's no rush to be done in some of the factors. Say a family dinner, you don't really have to, like eat your dinner as fast as you think because you're always doing that. So yeah, there are certain stuff that it completely applies to, but I think in terms of content, it just doesn't pass through. That's a failure from my side, like that philosophical argument. If that philosophical argument were to be true, or if you live like truly up to by it from every aspect of your life, then I feel like when you start driving, if the speed limit is 50, you might as well go, like at 20 kilometers per hour or 20 miles per hour, and then be like, oh, life is to be enjoyed more. Let me look at that tree. Let me look at that tree. No, like it doesn't make sense. Sure, it makes sense to some things, but say if the speed limit of a road is 50 and then you're going like 20, first off, you shouldn't cross the speed limit just to put it in context, not to miss the point. But like going at 20 miles per hour, it just doesn't make sense. Instead, you're blocking the traffic that is right behind you. Like I said, like even if you are cranking the speed up, you're still getting the idea and getting the reflection done if you completely abide by it. And then instead of just getting one idea, when you play it at normal speed, so many ideas, so many reflections to be done in a very short amount of time. Granted, your brain can catch up to it. Don't crank it up to 2x speed this quick. And that is where I'm at. But yeah, I think that's the main point. And to summarize the whole thing, if there is anything you want to get out of this podcast, I think I'll make it clear in the topic as well. The title of the podcast, I'll be like, how to consume twice as many content, and then and then the answer is you just crank up the speed. So I'll put that on the title as well. Maybe it's more appealing. But yeah, that's what I wanted to pour out on this podcast.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
So when I searched about this stuff, there were people talking about like they used it, or they were using it for like 2 years, and during conversations with people, they got bored very easily. Like since they are used to listening to sped up things, so when people talk to them in normal speed, they were bored very very easily, and they thought, when is the main point coming? When's the main idea coming to me? They are all speaking junk, so it really affected their lifestyle. Or
wow, I think that's a pretty good critique, but I feel like to me that has not been true at all, because I think there is this balancing factor which I'm able to differentiate between like the real conversation happening in real life, where I can see people, like in front of me. I think my brain automatically goes into this phase of, oh, they're humans. They're not, like this is, I'm not wearing headphones and listening to them talk. I'm like, I'm all open ears and I'm partaking in this conversation. There's like, I'm active in this conversation. Say right here as well. Like whenever you say something, I am hyper aware that I need to respond back with something. Whereas in terms of podcasts and in terms of YouTube, it's only one-way communication, right? Like you're only like getting things. There's nothing to throw back. So hopefully that is not going to be true. And as long as I hold the ideology that my brain can automatically shut off that part whenever I'm talking with my mother or with my brother, that these are real people and these are not like some form of podcast that I'm listening to. I think I'll be good. Bit careful there. We can do a recap of this after 2 years. After maybe after 2 years, I'll be accustomed to 2.3x speed or 2.5x speed. Although I feel like there is a limit here where, like, you can't go more than, say, 2.5x speed. I don't think I can ever, like, no matter how custom I get to this style of consuming content, I think there is a full stop that you want to go to. But yeah, like, again, like, if I'm listening to H3 podcast, which is like 2 hours long, like, there's like, seriously, am I sitting there at normal speed listening, like looking at like those ugly ass people, and then those fat ass ugly ass people, and then like wasting the whole 2 hours there. No, dude, like the podcast is meant so that you get in, you get out, you get the idea, you get some laugh, you get out of there, right? And then reflection to be done. I don't think there's any reflection to be done in H3 podcast. The podcast is made that way, you know. It's mostly opinions, but whereas our podcast, which is pretty good, no, I think H3 podcast is way better than ours. I like the podcast so much. No, and again, this is not a disrespecting thing. You're not disrespecting the content. You're not disrespecting the podcast itself, or you're not disrespecting the video itself.
Yeah.
Like same thing with fast reading, right? Like if you fast read, you're not disrespecting the writer or anything. Like that thing doesn't exist. It's just like something that you have made up just to feel guilty about.
Yeah, this is what popped up in my mind when I first listened to in 1.25 or 1.5. Like,
sure, yeah. That can be something to overcome. Like there's a guilt factor, right? But I think slowly you'll realize that you can consume like the speed is the new normal. So you won't feel guilty about anything. In terms of book, again, like if you highlight a book and then if you have notes all over the book, it doesn't mean that you are disrespecting the book. Instead, most of the authors appreciate that you have highlighted stuff. You have like there's there's pen mark all over the book.
That means you are putting in effort to understand.
Exactly. Like some people might see it as disrespect. You know, some people have this thought that books are supposed to be meant like to be really neat, really clean. I think that comes from the fact that you like if you are trying to sell the book again after a year, keep it fresh. You know, just so you can sell it for a better price. But if you are really getting through the book and understanding everything that is going on there, authors really appreciate that you have, you put in markings and stuff. It shows that you have put the time and effort and you have understood everything that has been gone through.
Exactly,
Same thing with the content again. Like the whole point of the podcast is like try listening to stuff faster. Give it a week or so, because I feel like different people get accustomed at different rates. But yeah, like that's the whole point. And you'll see what I mean. After a month or so, after a month, like whenever you have begun to listen at 1.7, 1.75x speed, you'll be like, oh shit, like this is like a superhuman power. Now let's go into the stuff that you did this weekend. Bragan, what happened this weekend? Anything new? Because I have a couple of stories.
It was a happy week, I guess, because...
Oh, wow. Great news. Oh, my God. No. You never say it like that. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you put it like that.
It's not the things that I did, but...
okay.
J. Cole dropped 2 songs, and...
Whoa!
And Logic dropped his finale album. Like, he's about to retire. And all.
He said so.
But I don't think he's going to retire.
Yeah, he said so. I think it's kind of like a promotion where it's like, oh, if I say I retire, I mean, I get it that he has a baby popping out. I think the baby has already popped out, right? Just like his album. I've not even listened to the J. Cole song. It was trending. I saw that, but I've not listened to it yet. Is it good?
Yep.
Is it catchy?
Yeah.
Are there bars?
Bars.
Is there autotune involved?
Yep, autotune. I was a bit disappointed.
Oh, come on!
But still, it's a good song.
Tool. Yeah. It's a tool.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It's a tool. Autotune is a tool.
Yeah, I get it.
It's a tool. Okay, it's nothing like it's not bigger than say someone raising the audio in the edit. Like, it's the same thing as raising the audio. If you're all like, no, let it be normal. You're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this level is very low. Let me crank up the audio a little bit. Yeah, I've got it, dude. I've got it. I've solved your problem. That goes on to show why you hated like fast listening so much, right? Because you have this guilt associated, just like autotuning. Right? You're like, oh, this is not natural way to do things, right? Got it.
Yeah,
So like a lot of people that I know as well are just against autotune completely. Like no autotunes. Like what the fuck? No autotunes. I don't like Kanye because he uses autotunes. No, dude, like look at his music. If his music is good, it's good. If his music is bad, it's bad. It doesn't matter what he used. It doesn't matter what he used. Okay. And if you are that person who's like, oh, autotune and stuff, you might as well critique every fiction movie that's out there, because
It's
all the
not
fiction movies,
realistic.
they use VFX, they use
CGI.
CGI, there's 3D modeling and stuff, and even the sound itself. Like I'm watching Harry Potter, which brings me to my story. I'm watching Harry Potter, and magic is not real, but they created magic, so that's not normal. You might as well hate that if you hate autotunes, right? And the sound of magic, the sound of magic is not something that exists in the world, yet they created it somehow. They did some kind of mixing, and then they created the sound of magic, so you might as well hate that. You might as well hate every fiction book that's written out there just because you are like, oh, this is not possible. This is not normal at all. Just, completely eradicated. But getting into Harry Potter, I've been watching Harry Potter movies. I think I said it on the podcast.
With your brother.
And it's freaking amazing. It's freaking amazing, dude. Daniel Radcliffe, I love that guy. Who's your favorite Harry Potter character? Don't say Harry Potter.
Like I said, I haven't watched Harry Potter.
Oh, shit. In a while or not at all?
Not at all. Like, I've watched it.
Okay. Again, grow up.
I've watched the first one, but like years ago, and I don't even remember any of that stuff.
Again, grow up. The movie is so good. I'm at the last part, so tomorrow I'll be finishing off the finale again. Like this will be my third time, and it's just fantastic. I love the movie so much. Yeah, that really made me show, this is why Pragyan, or say people who love fiction so much because there are these kind of elements that don't exist in the real world, right? But I just don't find that pleasure yet from fantasy books.
Oh, and my classes are starting from tomorrow, so
yeah. So what?
It's bad.
Oh, I thought you were about to say that I'm not doing podcasts anymore. I was about to punch you right through the screen, just be like... The past couple of days just went crazy, I feel like. Mostly yesterday. So there's a spot that I usually go to. I try to dedicate some time, like I said, sometimes I like to roam around, or other times, when I'm not doing that, I just like to go to this place, leave my phones at home, and then just take my Kindle and a pen with me to read a book. There's a park there where I can sit, and there are lightning all around, and it's really beautiful. It's really calm.
In the evening.
Yeah, in the evening. I go around 8 p.m. and then return around 10:30ish. My mom is always mad. She's like, "Oh, why do you come home faster? It's about dinner time," and which might be pretty surprising to any American who is listening, because they usually do dinner at like 5 or 6 p.m. And I do it at 10:30, 11. Depends. I went there, and apparently there was a concert happening.
Concert? Okay. Musical concert?
Yeah, musical. What other concerts are there? Movie concert? What is that? Painting concert. Oh, there's apparently a painting concert going up there. No, but there was a small kind of community concert going on, and there were some people around, which I was like, oh, I didn't dress up for this thing at all. I didn't even know that it was going on.
Lucky me.
And yeah, lucky me. I was like, okay, well, I can't read, but I can sit here and listen to some music. And there were people around, which I haven't seen in such a long time. There were like 50 people.
Oh.
Not seen that many people since.
Since.
Oh yeah, since the protest. But yeah, it was good. Like, it was unexpected. I wasn't dressed up or anything. There were pretty girls that I was looking at, but I wasn't dressed up, so I was like, let me forget about this stuff. I look pretty nasty right now. But right before that, the craziest thing happened. Craziest. I was shook. I think my soul left my body.
What's
I'm
that?
interested in fishing.
Okay.
Yeah, I love fishes. I love fishing.
Okay.
So I was walking around listening to I had my headphones on. I was going through some podcasts. I was maybe listening to an audiobook at 1.7x speed.
Okay. Okay.
I was doing that, and then I had taken some oatmeals because I like to go and feed the fishes. Feed the fish. Ooh, I like that. I think I can write that. Feed the fishes.
Do the dishes.
Kill the bitches.
These are my nishes. I love my missus. Give them kisses.
I'm proud of my wishes. Ooh, 2x speed? That sounds delicious. Never mind. Okay, enough of that. I think I just killed it.
Yep.
But yeah, I like to, I like to feed the fishes. And then sometimes I'll take like breadcrumbs, like I just tear some breads and then throw it in the water. And then I like to see fish fighting, right? That's what I'm most interested in. I'm here to cause trouble.
Yeah.
Only one lucky winner is gonna get the bread, and it usually happens that the big fish always takes the bread, right?
Sad reality.
The pond is pretty big, so I was
Far is this pond from your home?
like 5 minutes of walk.
Okay.
It's a community pond,
Okay.
so the pond belongs to the place where I'm staying. I went up to a very unusual place. Like I would only go to that place.
When I'm depressed. Oh, okay.
No, to the place on the pond. Like it was close by like bushes and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I would usually go there for fishing, not feeding. But then yesterday I went there, and then I was throwing this oatmeal that I recently bought. I'm into oatmeals now. Because they seem to be healthy. Nee suggested me about oatmeals. She told me about it, and then I was like, okay, I can give it a shot. I want to lose some, like stomach weight. My gut is getting pretty fat.
Okay.
So I went there, and then I started feeding oatmeals, right? And then I was like, I'm enjoying this because I can see the fight. I can see the fishes very clear. After a while,
I don't know.
I saw some bubbles popping up
Very.
bit far. I couldn't see what it was, but there were some bubbles, like small ass bubbles, as if, like, you know how when you step into water, like, and if the bottom of the water is like muds, you step in there, and then there are like small bubbles that come out of your feet. Yeah, like something like that was happening a bit far away. I couldn't clearly see what it was, but I could see the bubbles, right? I'm throwing these oatmeals, and then a while later, I'm keeping an eye there, and then a giant ass fish comes by my side.
Okay.
No, like underneath.
Okay.
I can see the fishes, remember, like it's not jumping or anything. I see this giant ass fish. I kid you
How
not.
big is
I
it?
think it was like
6 feet.
half of the size of my hand. Half of the size of my hand. I know it's ridiculous to say that.
That's
Ridiculous to say that because I like the pond I fish at is not like a lake. Like a lake would have those kind of fishes. This is a pond that is artificially created. These fishes were dumped by people.
Oh.
They don't belong there naturally. And I'm just like I froze right there. Because I looked at the fish and I was like, oh,
It's
I
gonna
know
eat
what kind
me.
of fish that is. I know what kind of fish that is, and it's called carp.
Okay.
I believe it was carp, and carps are very shy. I've encountered them before, and I've also tried catching them, but never had luck. I've caught catfish, which are pretty big, and I've caught them on chicken liver, but I never caught carps. Although I've seen them, they're pretty big, and they don't feed on worms or stuff. They don't like small fishes. Like if you cut up small fishes and throw it at them, they don't take that.
What do they take?
They don't take earthworms. They don't take
Gold?
lures meaning artificial bait. Nothing. They're very shy, very very shy. And I see the fish, and I'm just like, blown out of my mind. Blown, like, how the hell is this fish there? Like it doesn't belong here. And I was very surprised. And I was like, holy shit. Like I said, I'm into fishing, and big fishes, like there was this orgasmic moment in my mind. I'm like there's something happening. I don't know. My brain isn't working. My brain is off. So yeah, that happened. I'm still trying to catch the fish. I tried catching it today. No luck. They like corns. They don't like worms. They don't like fishes. They like corns. So yeah,
Corny.
that's the story I have. But I think we're running out of time. I hope that some of the listeners crank their speed up, and I don't take it as a disrespect or anything. Do you?
Nah.
No, I don't mind it. Like,
It's
I
cool.
feel like our podcast is get in, get out. Not to say that our podcast is not important or stuff.
It's informative.
It can be misinterpreted, but yeah, I feel like it's get in, get out. There are some ideas that we throw that we would
Could be
appreciate if
useful.
someone, did a little bit of reflection. But I think that's all the time we had for today. Thank you for tuning in for the podcast.
And we are out.
Bye.